Good morning, everyone. We are continuing here in the words of the Mesillas Yesharim, and the Ramchal will round off today this discussion that we're having about the primary purpose of Torah in a person's life and how it is truly the only remedy that we have for our Yetzer Hara. And he writes, Ach imu oisek b'Torah. If only this person would have engaged himself in the study of Torah, b'roiseh daracheha, to see its ways, tzivuyeha, and the commandments, v'azaraseha, and the warnings that the Torah gives us. Hine saif, then in the end, me'elav, on his own, yischadesh bo his eirus, he would renew within inside himself an inspiration, he would be awakened, and that would bring him to the right path. A person who is heading in the wrong direction, once that he begins shedding the yoke of the Torah from his life, and he gets more and more involved and connected to the other dark things of this world, which again, as we pointed out yesterday, are the antithesis of what Torah is. So then that person, he's going to be walking around in the dark, blindly, groping around, trying to find the meaning and the purpose to his life. If only, says the Ramchal, he would have seen, he would have learned Torah, Oisek b'Torah, he would have been engaged in Torah, and he would have seen its beautiful ways. The ways of the Torah are noyam, they are pleasant. Mesillas Yesharim, and all of its pathways are peaceful. If only he would see that. If he would understand that tzivuyim, the commands that HaKadosh Baruch Hu gave us, are for our benefit, and the asaroiseh, the warnings that Hashem has said, don't do this, don't do this. It's because HaKadosh Baruch Hu loves us. He wants to protect our neshamas from making mistakes and going down the crooked pathways that so many people do. Then if a person would have done it in the right way, on his own he would have recognized the truth. On his own he would have been brought back to the derech hatayv, to the good path. And this is what our sages teach us. Halavai oisi ozvu. Kodesh Baruch Hu says, I wish they would abandon me. V'seirasi shamru, but my Torah they would keep. Shahamaor sheba machzirin lemutav, because the light which is in the Torah, it will be machzirin them, it will return them to the side of good. HaKadosh Baruch Hu says, you don't want to believe in me? You want to get angry with me? You want to be frustrated with me? You want to have kindness? You want to have complaints because you don't like that I brought consequence and suffering to the world, or because I gave this person reward and this one I punished? You have what's your complaint? Says HaKadosh Baruch Hu. And so therefore you want to abandon the pathways of Yiddishkeit as a result of that? I understand, says Hashem. So I'll tell you like this: Halavai, I wish you would just abandon me, says HaKadosh Baruch Hu, but you would guard my Torah, you would learn my Torah. You would imbibe the Torah in your life, because the light that is in the Torah is so powerful and it's so strong, it's so incandescent, it glows with kedusha. Machzirin lemutav, that Torah itself will bring you back to the pathways of truth and bring you back to the right path in your life. But it's up to you, says the Ramchal. It's up to the person if they in fact are going to grab onto the opportunities of studying, of learning, and living Torah. If a person does, he gets to the right pathway. Along with this comes a person setting aside times, as we mentioned, which is to set up times for themselves where they make a cheshbon nefesh, they make a spiritual accounting of themselves, their actions, their deeds, what they're doing right, what they're doing wrong, should they not have had, and be aware of their actions. And besides all that, whatever time is left over from your dealings, if you're a wise person, you certainly will not waste time. You're not going to sit on your phone all day long surfing the web. You're not going to look at WhatsApp videos all day long again and again. We can't do chazara. We can't review a page of Gemara that we learned. We can't review a parsha in the Chumash. We can't review a halacha to make sure that we know it well. But to review a WhatsApp video that's nonsense again and again and again, there suddenly we have all the time in the world. Shelo yabdeu, says the Ramchal, don't lose the precious hours of life. Elo yochaz boi miyad, grab onto this moment of life immediately. V'lo yarpeu, don't let go. Lasek boi be'esek nafshe v'tikun avoidasai. Rather utilize the moments that you find left over, so to speak, in your life. And you should be eisik ba'esik, you should be involved in your Torah learning, in your mitzvah observance, and you should correct your avoidasai, your service of HaKadosh Baruch Hu, to make it the best possible. This mafsid, this deterrent from the life of watchfulness, even though it's very general, even though it's very general and it's in a person's life constantly, where again we say that the person gets completely involved in the earthiness, materialism of this world, which pulls him away in so many different directions from the path of emes. Nevertheless, if a person wants, it's perhaps the easiest one that a person can rescue themselves from if they just apply their mind and their heart and their soul to the right things. And that's the Mesillas Yesharim today, and Be'ez Hashem we shall continue in these beautiful, magnificent, elevating, inspiring words tomorrow, Be'ez Hashem. Have a wonderful day and a good Tamayid.